everyone. I want you to look at this picture. This picture describes the education system in the United States. Students come in and they leave without their creativity, their intelligence. Students are victim of the education system, and because I'm passionate, I did excessive research, and so today I'm gonna go into this education system, the problem it caused, and how we can fix it. H.L. Mencken, who is one of the influential writers in America, stated that the aim of public education is not to fill the young people with knowledge and awaken their intelligence, but the aim is to reduce many individuals as possible to put down originality. And Erica Godson, who is a graduate, who is a valedictorian in her high school, spoke out against schooling during her graduation. And she said even as valedictorian, she felt that her mind was disabled. And and then afterwards she stated that, and I quote, our motivation ought to be passion, but the moment we step into the system but it's not, because the moment we step into a system that train us instead of inspired us. And so now we covered the problem. Now we're going to move on to the root of the problem. And Ken Robinson, who is a writer, speaker, and international education advisor, stated that the problem is the dominant culture of education doesn't focus on learning and teaching, but instead it focuses on testing, standardized testing. This picture right here says what I want to say. For the fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. Please climb that tree. And I know we all study for a test, we memorized for a test to later forget, and we thought it was a waste of time. And education should not be like this, like where students focus on their grade instead of evolving. And the system made us Erica, who I previously mentioned, said, and I quote, robotic bookshelf conditioned to blur out facts that we learn in school. And so I want you to keep in mind these points, but at the same time, I want to clarify. I don't mean to disregard education. Education is very important. Education is the most powerful weapon which we can use to change the world. Nelson Mandela. And Ken Jennings, who is an author, in his video, in one of his speeches, stated that when we memorize, we access one part of our brain, and then that part of our brain, if we don't memorize as much, shrinks and making us dumber. And he later stated that, and I quote, it's always better to know something than to not know it. And after that, he actually gave an example about this Japanese 10-year-old girl who managed to save the people around her from a tsunami, because she remembered one fact that she was taught in her geography class. So knowledge is important, and the problem is not knowledge, but how knowledge is perceived by students. And so, what can you do? I invite you to change the way you perceive your subject. Study not just for grades, but have meaning in what you do, and hold your teachers accountable, and demand creativity and critical thinking. And do critical thinking. And I encourage you to think differently. I dare you to think critically and challenge what you've been taught. Don't observe blindly what you've been taught, but come up with better ideas, greater ideas. And Ken Robinson, who I previously mentioned, said that, and I quote, creativity is as important as literacy. And one of our great minds, Albert Einstein, stated that if we use the same reasoning that we used to when we create our problems, if we use the same thinking we what we had when we created our problems. Not direct quote, but if we use the same thinking that we used when we created our problems not going to get solved. And so how would this benefit you? The benefits would be if you study and if you have meaning in what you do in classroom, you won't stress. And taking my own experience, if I have meaning in what I do, I don't stress because I don't focus on the grade as much as I do on the subject. And then you would take the class, you would take education worthwhile. It will be worthwhile. You will not take it as working. And if you go one step closer and you one step further and you take the fact that you learn, you can apply it to your everyday life. And you can make education all that it can be. So be thinkers, be inventors. From the Wright brothers who invented the airplane, to Thomas Edison with the light bulb, to modern day inventor Bill Gates, they all have something in common. They all applied what they learned and they created. So innovate, create, innovate, and make the world more beautiful. And so in conclusion, grades should not be the primary reason and the motivation force to do things in school. Have meaning and have passion, and I assure you grades will follow. Start right now, have meaning, and start right now with this class, have meaning and make your education worthwhile. Thank you.